we think because we made cars and cell phones and nuclear weapons and can talk to somebody in China when we're in the US and all this and that, we know it all. But what's so funny is science is constantly disproving itself. In fact, I believe it's not falsification, maybe it is falsification, is the principle in science where there should be an element of that experiment or outcome can be challenged and falsified. Good afternoon, evening, morning, night, whenever you're watching. Welcome to another episode of Obsidian Achievement. This is your host, Michael Russin. Thank you once again for joining me. Please, if I could ask one favor, after posting podcast episode after podcast episode, video after video, reel after reel, just get me some engagement. If you don't mind, please like, comment, and share the reels. I'm a little out of breath. I go outside to have my cigar. Deadwood Tobacco Company has become my new favorite cigar. So they have like Lucky, Lucy, and like Dead Alice, and like all these cool names for their cigars. But Deadwood Tobacco Company is I've had 3 of their cigars so far, and every single one has been a home run. Like, I'm going to go buy multiple boxes. So if you need a new cigar recommendation, there you go. But anyways, I'm outside smoking my cigar, and we've had rain again, like we do every single day in Maine. And I look up behind the house, and there's a rainbow, this huge, brilliant rainbow. So I ran out through the back of the woods, and I'm taking a video of it. I'm like, dude, I got to get out to the field. So I ran down our road. We live on a private road. I ran down this gravel road barefoot, and I come out to the street, and I look up, and there's just this big, beautiful arch. And it just reminded me of God's promise. And I was almost emotional looking at this rainbow. And it just, the rainbow now has been stolen by the alphabet mob, and it's a shame. And it's not even stolen; it's a fly. I think I got him too. The rainbow's been stolen. It hasn't been stolen. It's been temporarily commandeered by sexual deviants. But you can't take what is God's, and everything belongs to God. And eventually that rainbow in this life or the next will have its real meaning reestablished. For those of you that don't know the story of the rainbow, after God flooded the earth, Noah and his family and the people that decided to listen to him and all the animals were on the ark. I believe they were on the ark for just over a year. It's like 400 days, if I'm not mistaken. And they sent, they sent like a pigeon or a dove first. I think it was a dove. And it brought back, so they sent a dove out, and it came back immediately, meaning there was nothing was above water. God flooded the earth in such a manner that the mountaintops were covered. And so the dove comes back with nothing. Well, then they sent it again, and it came back with an olive branch the second time. Like, oh, dude, there's trees popping up now. And the third time they sent the dove, it didn't come back, meaning it had landed somewhere. And when the ark finally touched down and they got out of the ark, God made a promise, and he wrote that promise in the sky with the rainbow, that he would never flood the earth and destroy humanity like he did again. Why did God destroy the earth? Why doesn't he destroy it now? Well, number one, because he promised not to. But the reason why he originally destroyed the earth didn't destroy the earth, killed everybody and everything in it, aside from those that were on the ark. The reason why he did that is because people were really bad, really, really bad. And this is back when people were living to be 500, 600, 700 years old at the time. And it was, there was murder and rape and sexual perversion and war and just pride and arrogance. I mean, everything was wrong. And God it actually said he regretted making man, but he saw Noah, and he saw how good Noah was, good as a man could be. And he saved him. And you see God's grace like that occur many times throughout the Bible. Sodom and Gomorrah. He spared Lot and his family, but his wife turned around, turned into a pillar of salt. There's been several other instances in the Bible where God wanted to exact brutal and righteous vengeance and held back his hand to save one, two, or a small remnant, right? And a lot of people have problems with that. A lot of people have problems with the God of the Old Testament. And the reason, you'll hear atheists and others say things like, oh, your God's a murderer. Read the Old Testament. He had bears eat kids. And, this just, atheists cherry pick all these passages, right? But to understand the whole and complete person of God, to have love and mercy, there must be justice and vengeance and punishment. You can't have an all-loving God without a God that also has furious and righteous judgment. There's a balance, there's a give and take. God created the universe to have order. So Newton's laws, opposite, equal and opposite reaction, are not man-made inventions. They're observations of the universe that was created by God. And we have a very limited knowledge and perspective of these laws, only being able to detect, I think, with our eye, 2% of the electromagnetic spectrum. When you start reading scientific studies, the presence of an observer can skew the results. Just observing an experiment can skew the results. Just tells us that there's so much about quantum physics that we don't understand yet. And what scientists do is they make models. And these models often have, let's call them, they have mechanisms within them to force them to work. Let's just put it that way. I know I'm getting a little dense with some of this right now, but or maybe I'm just dense. But what we have, let's go metaphysics, let's go God, let's go spirit realm. We, with our limited capabilities and perspective, the hubris of man is so funny. We think science is the end all be all, and it's just science. Science is a series of mistakes and happy accidents and luck. I'm not saying that very intelligent men haven't created things and discovered things and explained things in brilliant ways. But the culmination and the total sum of all of men's brilliance isn't even a speck of sand on the beaches of the infinite, omniscient, omnipresent God and his wisdom and his knowledge and his power and his intelligence. We can't even begin to come close. I'd like to think when we get to heaven that we're always going, like every day is going to be brand new in heaven, because we're going to be constantly discovering who God is, because he's infinite. How do you ever have complete knowledge of an infinite being, an infinite amount of time? Well, if it's an infinite being and it goes on and on and on forever, we're going to be alive on and on and on and on and on and on in God's regenerated earth, we'll never fully know and understand the true character of God. So here we are sitting on our little speck of carbon, floating around in an infinitely expanding universe as entropy begins to just tear everything apart. And we think because we made cars and cell phones and nuclear weapons and can talk to somebody in China when we're in the US and all this, so that we are just, we know it all. But what's so funny is science is constantly disproving itself. In fact, there's I believe it's called, it's not falsification, maybe it is falsification, is the principle in science where there should be an element of that experiment or outcome can be challenged and falsified. It might not be, falsification might be in the incorrect word, but I'm sure you can understand what I'm trying to say. The reason why there's that mechanism in science is because we know that theories are constantly disproven and replaced by better ones, right? That it's just, first we were geocentric, then heliocentric, and then we don't even know if we're at the center of anything. Are we falling? Are we going up? Are we going down? Is the universe expanding? Is it contracting? Quantum, physics was replaced by quantum physics, which is now called, quantum covariant loop theory, and all these other crazy things. All this goes to say is that we don't know anything. We don't know anything. And the best that we could do is, I'm not saying that we shouldn't strive to advance ourselves as a race. I'm not saying that science isn't useful at all. That's not what I'm saying. It's very useful. I think science is a gift from God. It's us discovering the inner workings of the universe that he created. The problem is that we've gotten too proud and we've lost our respect for God. And when we lose our respect for God, we see the terrible things that science can create. Weapons of mass destruction, chemicals that take millions of years to break down. And, I don't believe that the earth is, I don't believe in climate change. I think a lot of it is, I think even climate change is intentionally man-made and manipulated by the New World Order. The earth is changing, but I don't think we're going to be, oh, the icebergs are going to melt. We're all going to be underwater. That was what, 30 years ago that was supposed to happen. Weren't we supposed to be out of gasoline by now? I can specifically remember our science teacher telling us all and scaring us in middle school that we were going to be out of gasoline by 2010. Fossil fuels. Sorry. Isn't that funny how that went away? That language went away, fossil fuels. I wonder what happened to that. Anyways, all this goes to say is that I think that if we use science correctly, and we appreciate it, if we saw it through that paradigm of us discovering God's infinite wisdom and his infinite universe that he has placed us in, and we had a healthy reverence for that fact, I think that many detrimental scientific achievements would have never been created. But we're man. It's like the tower. Science is like the Tower of Babel. We're proud. We're going to build a tower that reaches to the heavens, and God just looks down and laughs. And they call it the Tower of Babel because everybody on earth used to speak one language, and God struck them all. And all of a sudden they look around, they're talking to each other, nobody understands anybody. It changed everybody's tongues, changed everybody's languages. And that Tower of Babel is a recurring theme now, that when Jesus comes back to take his place on the throne, the world is regenerated and everybody is judged in the book of life, and you're going to either go to the lake of fire and brimstone, or you're going to go to spend the rest of eternity with God. And we see God's final judgment there. God has his hand in everything. And all of this came to my mind because I was looking at this beautiful rainbow, and I was just thinking about just the infinite nature of God and how beautiful it is. But you guys like my shirt? Pedophile wood chipping surfaces. Check out Toxic Masculinity Clothing. Toxic Masculinity Clothing. There's a bodybuilder. I think he used to live up here in Maine and he moved to the Carolinas, if I'm not mistaken. I actually don't know his first name. I just follow him. He's called the Northeast Beast on Instagram. And very intelligent guy. Him and I share a lot of the same opinions, sentiments about the way of the world. Electrolytes. Make sure you're drinking your electrolytes. Let's talk about what I had for dinner today. So if you want to be like an absolute powerhouse, dude, I've been an absolute machine. I've been going since 4 a.m. 4 a.m. taking care of the baby, running multiple companies, filming podcasts, recording podcasts, getting workouts in, cleaning garages, taking ice baths, taking care of animals. I haven't stopped cooking, cleaning for my pregnant wife. That's what I do that. A lot of people, his wife's probably suffering because he's such a toxic man. Dude, I cook and clean, bro. You can't tell me anything. But I had for dinner 4 eggs from our chickens. I had, I don't know, about that much, whatever that portion would be, of raw cow liver. I had some bone broth from North Star Bison. I had some ground organs. So it's testicle, heart, liver, kidney, ground organ, bison organs. And I made those into tacos. So I made tacos with a little bit of onion and cheese. And that ground bison, I obviously threw in a skillet with some butter and some seasoning and a glass of raw milk. Most of my meals are fruit or steak or organ meat with raw milk, Electrolytes. I get electrolytes, Redmond's. So if you look up Redmond's salt, they have great salt. I use their salt on literally everything. I take a pinch of salt with a liter of water every morning, but their electrolytes are what I'm drinking right now, and they're really, really good. It's like so refreshing. I don't want to put it down. But what you'll find is that, and we've heard this forever, that the fuel that you put in your body, it's fuel. I could just stop there. It's fuel. And what type of fuel are you putting in your body? And the fuel that they tell you to put in your body is all garbage. If you ate like me, you would feel, and I've got a few guys now that are doing exactly what I'm doing, and everybody is feeling and looking great. Everybody's feeling and looking great. It's the way you're supposed to eat. It's the way you're supposed to eat. Well, now that we're done with our metaphysical ramblings and God and raw testicles, what else can we talk about tonight, friends? I've got my Glock 19 Gen 5 here. Take a gander at this. Will they take me off YouTube if I show my gun? This is an airsoft gun. YouTube, this is an airsoft pistol right here. So I've got a Trigicon hollow scope on it. This holds 15 with one in the chamber. I took my light off. I have a light. I can't remember what brand. I'll let you guys know. I got a T-Rex Arms holster, which is also where my plate carrier is from, and my level 4 plates are from T-Rex Arms, as well as my utility belt. But yeah, the Trigicon hollow scope red dot sight at Glock 19 Gen 5. That's my daily carry. Big fan of that gun. Holds 16, shoots smooth. I like the trigger act. I like the trigger pull. I like the dual action trigger. It's got the little trigger and then the actual pull to it. So you can gauge pulling slack out of it. It's very accurate with that red dot sight. My friend Alex and business partner Alex, who's also my barber. What's up, Alex? Was shooting with me the other day. I got to shoot his, I think he's got a pump action and a lever action 30-06 we were shooting, or a 30-30. It was one of those. So we shot both, but he's got one that's a pump and a lever. And boy, those fun guns. But he took that for a spin and he couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Taking care of your body is, that reminds me, I was talking to a bodybuilder this morning. I slowed down now. I used to move very, very quickly because I was always so used to like meeting. I got to go to this. I got to do this. I have this obligation. My wife and I we were looking at some pictures or some videos of some people that were doing stuff for a company that I, maybe used to be affiliated with. And, it was just one event after the other event and just having to entertain people and party and like, just, and, I don't mean party like raucous, just like you got to take people to dinner and for years, I was so on to the next event, on to the next event, on to the next meeting, on to the next meeting. Now I got to do this. Now I need to do blah, 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 that I didn't smell the roses, so to speak. Now, I hate when people say stop and slow down and smell the roses because I'm the one trying to plant them. So get out of my way. That's not what I'm saying is to be lazy. What I am saying is that now I try to slow down more and have more deliberate conversations with people. And I had a conversation with a gentleman, his name's Skip, at the gym. And he was a bodybuilder. And I saw a picture of him when he was younger and competed. This guy's physique is crazy. And now he's 79. And let me tell you, he is sharp. And he looks great, and he's in the gym every day. There's another older lady, she's in her 70s too, that works out at that same gym. She's pushing the sled with like 10 plates on it, dude. She's like she's got to be 6'2", hamstrings, quads, shoulders, arms, in her 70s. So also her, listening to her talk, I've never talked to her directly, but I've heard her speak. She's very sharp. There's something to be said about taking care of your body. You will be 1,000 times sharper mentally. 1,000 times sharper mentally. Let's finish with some of the books that I'm going to read next. Some of the books that I'm going to read next that I just ordered, so you guys can read these with me if you want, or you can wait for my reviews. Black Swan by Nassim Nicholas Taleb, I don't know how you pronounce it. Anti-Fragile, Things That Gain from Disorder, same author, Nassim, whatever. 6 Easy Pieces by Richard Feynman, who is a famous physicist, I believe, and mathematician. The Bed of Procrustes. The Bed of Procrustes sounds like a torture device. That's also by Nassim, however you pronounce his name. Philosophical and Practical Aphorisms. And lastly, another book by Nassim, Fooled by Randomness. So the guy that I love, Naval Ravikant, who wrote I can't even remember now. The Almanac of Naval Ravikant was talking about these books in his book. And anytime I read a brilliant author, and I'm like, man, I love what this guy has to say, I always peel back a layer and look at who's this guy reading. And he reads a lot of that Nassim Taleb, whatever guy. Don't know too much. I've heard the name a lot. I don't know too much about him. I think I have one of his books, actually, as a matter of fact. He's very intelligent. And I think he thinks very similarly to me about politicians, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to dig that out. But that's today's episode. There was a lot to chew on there. So, hey, appreciate you guys. Love you guys. This is Michael Rustin signing off for Obsidian Achievement.